Here is my IBM eServer. I'm taking a break right now from the Silvertone because I'm waiting for some parts to come. I'm going to see what I can do about lowering the B plus voltage in that to get it to within operating range. But for now, here is my IBM eServer. Now this I rescued from a place I used to work at. They did an upgrade on a specific application that used a series of these IBM machines, and when they did the upgrade, of course, the old machines, they just junk them. They throw them out. So I managed to salvage this one. Now the thing is, this is a very well-made machine. I'm sure that in its day it sold for a few $1,000s. You don't find your average home PC is not as well made as this machine is. And I have XP on it, and I have a couple of XP specific applications, but there is a problem. And if I push the on button, nothing happens. It doesn't power up. The green pilot light comes on, but it doesn't fire up. Now that's probably the power supply, or it could be the power supply, but there's something else wrong with it, and I don't know if I can get enough light in on it. But if you'll notice, all of these electrolytics, they're 3300 mic 6.8 volt electrolytics on the bus lines, and they're all bulging and leaking, and they all look pretty bad. So before I get into the power supply, I'm going to replace all of those. I don't know, I think there's 10 or so of them in there. Now I have these on hand, but they're kind of bigger around. The diameter is much bigger than the ones that are in there, so it might be kind of hard to squeeze these in. But I bought these from an eBay seller, and these are at the right diameter. So I got a dozen of them in there. That should cover it pretty well. If there's a couple of them that are kind of away from the other ones, maybe I could put the fatter ones in there. But anyways, to start with, I'm gonna pull this all apart, take the system board out, the motherboard out, and replace all those capacitors, and then I'll see if that fixes it. If not, I'm pretty sure that the power supply would be the next thing to look at. But I like to keep this machine running because it has I have some video applications in it that are XP specific, and although I don't put this computer online, I still would like to use it. So I'll see how I do. I'll be pulling the system board out to change the capacitors quite soon. I have the system board out of the IBM eServer, and you can see how bad these capacitors have failed. They're all leaking out of the top. These two are also swollen. This one is not. But those three are 1800 mic 16 volt capacitors, and I don't have those, so I'll have to get those. And this one right here, which is a little bit swollen on top, should be replaced. That's a 680 mic at 16 volts also, like these are 16 volts, so I'll have to order those, so I can't go on with this thing at this time. So I'll order those parts and then go from there. And so I have all the capacitors I need. So I'm going to start replacing these caps. I have all of these to replace. These three, and this one gets replaced. Everything else looks pretty good. Nothing is bulging or leaking. So I'll start with replacing these caps. And so I got all the caps replaced. I replaced these 9, these 3, and this one over here. So I'll put this thing back together and see if it fires up. I have a feeling it's not going to, because I think the power supply is really the problem. But those capacitors needed to be changed anyways. If I didn't mess up the solder connections, it's very difficult changing capacitors on a motherboard. I don't know if anyone else has ever done it, but it's tricky work because you can easily wreck the solder, the traces on the board if you're not careful. And you can almost not even see that you've done it. So I'll see if I can get this thing working. So I got it all back together. Let's see. We power it up. See if this... Oh, powered up. There you go. Well, that was some success there. Now I'll have to put a monitor and a keyboard and everything on it and see if it functions. So let's see if this thing boots up. This computer was my online computer for quite a long time, but when Microsoft declined supporting XP, I took it offline, but I use it offline to put videos together and do other things. I bought some video conversion software years ago that I paid for that's on this computer. And I like to keep stuff like this running if I can. Well, I would call that a success. So having recapped the motherboard did the trick. I'll use this computer to actually put the video for this together for YouTube. So there you go. IBM eServer repaired and ready to work another few years.